So sometimes people ask what I would consider silly questions, because they're dancing around the actual question. They're not even actually really addressing the real problem with the issue. But they still gotta ask that question because I guess it's supposed to make you think.
That's a sit-down question right there.
Is that something that's happening somewhere?
Yes, absolutely.
I want to say yes. I know that sounds kind of terrible, but I mean, you know, it's a big responsibility, and you have to be ready, you know, emotionally, economically, for not only your sake but the kids' sake.
So the idea of this would be for the children. You would want to do things for the children. So what are the standards? How much money do you have to make a year? How many people have to be involved in the home? You know, like, fuck whether or not you should. Yeah, of course you should license people to have children. Are you kidding me? People get licensed to have cars, and because it's a responsibility. It's a big responsibility, and you have other people's lives in your hands while you're driving a car. Same thing with a child. It's a big responsibility, and you have other people's lives in your hand while you're raising that child, right? So, yeah. Makes sense that having children should be licensed. But how do you do it? What's the standard?
Well, for one, would I have to renew it every year?
That's an interesting question. What if one year you're able to have a child and the next year, for whatever reason, you're not? What if you get laid off? Now you're not making as much money. Now you can't have a child. What happens to the child? Does the state take them? Because that's not good for the child. You know, like, people go through tough times. So how do you regulate that?
I think parents should be perhaps trained a bit and given information and given support of how to be a good parent, but I think licensing is a step too far.
But you kind of have all that. There's all sorts of programs for parents. There's all sorts of books. There's all sorts of online things, courses you can take, classes, all sorts of whatnot. But who's teaching these things? Are they teaching the right thing? Who's to say how is the best way to raise a child? A lot of people disagree on that. So where's the standard?
To actually have a third party involving themselves in that process, you know, it's a bit out of reach.
But you already have a third party involved in that process. You have to register your child with the state. You gotta get your child its ID, gotta get its birth certificate, all its identification papers, and then you have to responsibly raise that child. Or there's a damn good possibility that the state's gonna come in and intervene. And you're going to have a third party that's taking your fucking kid. So you already got that, man. So what's the difference?
And once a woman have your child, that's a license. That would never expire.
I love this guy. You can almost hear it, but he's not really saying license. He's saying sentence. So, yeah, you know, he's got a point.
I think you should maybe have to take a class to have children, though. Or at least have some hands-on experience with children.
Who's going to teach the class? And who's going to put their baby up for hands-on whatever, like experience gathering? Who are the people that are going to do this? Is that good for a child? Would that fall under the licensing? You have your child being pawed by all manner of strangers. That you'd lose your license over that, I'd think.
No, I don't think you should have a license to have children. That's a natural thing, you know. You don't need paper for stuff like that, you know.
Of course, Man Bun brings up the fucking stupidest point. It's a natural thing. There's a whole lot of things that people consider natural, and a lot of them aren't good. So, like, just because it's natural, you know, whatever.
I think you actually get the license once you get the children.
Well, see, that reasoning just doesn't make any sense at all. If you buy a car, you don't just get the license.
Some people certainly should have a license to have children.
Especially Jews?
Some people who, you know, maybe never had
killed any Jews?
Good family experience, had problems in their family.
Had Jews in their family?
Had difficulty in terms of sharing emotions and dialoguing, talking, communicating.
Turning in jewels. Alright, it was a low blow, but still funny. Just at the accent. You almost have to do it.
I think it's something so natural that humans are made to procreate that I don't think you need a license. Like, there are bonds that are created whenever you have a child, I think. and then with that, like, that's how you learn how to be a parent.
Yeah, but a whole lot of people don't seem to form those bonds. And a whole lot of people don't seem to fucking learn how to be a parent. So, I don't know. Hence the question. See, that's not the real question. Like, licensing to have a child, of course. Like, of course, we got a lot of people. It's time to start, figuring out what we're going to do about that. And we got a lot of shitty fucking parents. A lot of people doing it just for a fucking welfare check. And that's no good. A lot of people abuse their kids. A lot of people mistreat kids. It's terrible. So, what do? You license people. But the question isn't whether or not we should license people to have children. The question is, how do you enforce it? If you're driving without a license, you can lose your car. What happens if you're fucking without a license? Like, is that a part of it? Are you even allowed to have recreational sex without a license? Because accidents happen all the time. And if an accident happens, then it's what? State mandated abortion? That doesn't sound very good, does it? So, how do you enforce it? What if somebody has a kid 5 years later, they wind up being shitty fucking parents? Happens. So you take the kid away? State mandated abortion? Like post-birth abort? That's murder. Like what? The kid goes into the system then? Foster parents? You gonna license them? Like... Whether or not we should license people, anybody can answer that question. Yes or no? How do you enforce it? That's the question.